the honoree.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the glowing tributes. I mean, how could I possibly add to the fact that this young man goes to Japan and tells Japanese how to do it correctly in Japanese? Obviously, sir, you are more than deserving of this award. And all that I can add, one is thank you for not forsaking your country. Two, thank you for cutting a pathway that has demonstrated to young people, without your even knowing it, that your unquenchable thirst for excellence will drive them in the same direction. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and acknowledge the winner, our honoree for today for the Salute to Service Award 2013, Dr. Malcolm Brock.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate this. And thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, as I look out in the room, I see not only my family, my immediate family, I see my extended family, I see even in the back of the room, I see 3 of my elementary school teachers who I know are going to be listening and making sure that I do the right thing. It's absolutely wonderful, wonderful to be honored, and I just can't thank you enough, the Bermuda Health Foundation. As you know, this Salute to Service Award, there have been so many people before me who have received this, have been very deserving. I don't think I'm as deserving as they have been, to be honest with you, but I want to thank the 3 speakers who spoke, Dr. King for being an inspiration to me and guiding me when I had to choose thoracic surgery, and then trusting me as his doctor. That was the ultimate, I think, acknowledgement I got from a mentor that they wanted their student to take care of them, and I thank you very much for that. Dr. Tamal, who actually, and Dr. King knows, he's a thoracic surgeon, so that history that he gave you, it's a club. It's a tremendous sort of honor for us to serve and to be part of this surgical association. It's really special. And then Dr. Tamal, he brought my 3 children into the world. He, as you could tell from his accent, is from Jamaica. And he was an inspiration because he did what I wanted to do. He stayed at Hopkins. He had the commitment, and he found a place where all of a sudden that quench for making medicine better, to put that envelope, how can we make this world better than when we came into it, and through medicine, how can we do that? And at Hopkins you can do it, and he did it. And when I saw him do it, I said, you know what, I can do this, I can stay here and serve Bermuda. So thank you, Dr. Small. And And then, of course, I chose my father to come up here and speak. And why, as someone told me, I project my father, but I seek my mother. So I liked to have sort of the softness, but I get up and I project, but I'm a chip off the old block. So I'm going to try to keep my minutes down, but I'm a chip off the old block. And to the Bermuda Health Foundation for what you have done. Phil Butterfield, Dr. Hewitt Brown, Vincent Hollister, and the late Dr. Maury Brown, this is unbelievable. You have really pushed that bar because you've looked at that next generation of Bermudians, and now you've had 30 awards, over $350,000. This is what needs to be done. And I want today even to talk to some of the younger Bermudians and I have my godson in the room, for example, my kids in the room. I want to talk a little bit to them, too, about some of the challenges in Madison. And I promised Phil Butterfield that I would talk a little bit about the healthcare system and some of the dilemma that we have in our healthcare system, both here and in the States. As a Bermudian, I know I got this because I'm a Bermudian, but at the same time I got it because I'm a doctor at Johns Hopkins. And of course, I've spent the last 25 years of my life or so at Hopkins. And my father talked about me thinking about family. And one of the reasons I like Johns Hopkins is because it does treat Bermudians as though they are family. Gail Savage, who's sitting there, has shown me a lot in terms of how to approach people, how to bring them into the family of Hopkins. My father's been treated there, my mother's been treated there, my sister's been treated there. It's family for me, and Hopkins has done a tremendous job. There's a story when I first got there, just to give you a sense of how as a Bermudian I felt so much at home, because I always try to have to justify to my mom and my dad why I'm not practicing here in Bermuda. So that's the background to this. But so I went to Hopkins, and I got there, and the guy said to me, he said, up at there at Harvard and in Boston, he said, the problem with that place, he said, is that it's cold up there. He said, and people, they tend to be competitive, it's cold. He said, men, you're from Bermuda. He said, I know you're attracted to maybe going down to the south, down to Atlanta, or going down to Florida. And he said, you know what, it's so gentlemanly and warm down there. Everybody's too nice. They smile in your face and think something completely different. He said, here at Hopkins, we're right in the middle. We do it just right. So it does. It attracts accomplished people from all over the world. So not only does it have all the labs and the equipment, and we have 2 new buildings and so forth. We do laparoscopic surgery. I have patients here who are in the room, and we do all sorts of these neat things. But the thing that really attracts people to this place are the people, prominent researchers. And this is my first sort of nugget that I want to share with the young people. and that is that when you go into medicine, you have to, just like when you go into life, negotiate, you have to have a mentor. And you have to really seriously pick your mentor according to how you would pick almost a spouse, or how you pick someone you're going out with. And that's how I looked at it. And I made sure that to negotiate this path, you can't do it on your own. I had to have somebody I looked up to. I had to have somebody to help me. So at Hopkins, I knew I wanted to do cancer research. My grandmother had died of cancer on my father's side, and I said to myself, this is just wrong. Gotta figure this out. And so I like challenges. I like to play golf. That's always a challenge. So I like to think about how could we do this? How could we make it better? So I looked around, and I quickly realized that the top 5 cancer researchers, the top 5, are Johns Hopkins. Top 5. And I said, okay, wow, this is sort of cool. And how do you figure out that somebody's in the top 5, right? How do you figure out that this guy is better than the other guy as a cancer researcher? Because they're there studying their labs, and they're not bringing the stuff over to the clinic. So I'm thinking, I want to bring what they have to the clinic. I want to be that bridge. So I said, well, how did you do that? And the way that you do that is you actually look at how many times other researchers have cited them, have used their work in their own work. And that's called citations, and there's a citation number. You can look people up and so forth. And the top 5 at Hopkins. And then I noticed something else that ties in with this mentorship. Number 1 in the world is a guy named Bert Vogelstein, about 60,000 citations at that time. Now it's about 100. Number 2 in the world, his mentee. Number 3 in the world, Steve Bailey. Number 4 in the world, his mentee. Number 5 in the world, Dr. Vogelstein's mentee. So I looked around, and I'm a guy from Bermuda. So I said, Number 1, number 2, I don't know if I can hang with that, but number 3 and number 4, sure can't do that. And I went to number 3 and number 4, and now you come to my office. Number 3 is here. Number 3 is here. My office, I can tap, he's on the other side of the wall, and number 4, I can tap on his other side of the wall. So I figure if they push me together like that, maybe I can get to be number something, number 100 maybe. So I'm right in the middle. And it's worked out. It's worked out very, very well. And so what I want to tell young people is that this is critical stuff. How you essentially get a mentor, use that mentor. And believe me, it's not a one-way street at all. It's a two-way street. Just like anybody who's married or has a girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you, it is a two-way street. You give to them what they give to you. And I knew I had chosen it correctly when, for example, one day, and I'll tell you this quick story, I came into the office and my number 3 had been called to his boss's office. And the story was very quick. The story was this. It said, all right, here's a donor who had a lot of money, and the donor came up unbeknownst. And the donor said, okay, guys, he said, I want the top 3 cancer researchers in the world. I heard top 5 are here. I've called the top 3 here. And the top 3 were in the office. He said, you didn't know I was coming? Tell me, off the cuff, right now, you got 2 minutes. This is the elevator scenario. You got 2 minutes. Tell me your best research going on or what you heard today. So number 1 talked, number 2 talked, number 3 talked. Number 3 had a meeting with me just before he got called. And I was just going in his office because my office is next door. So the only thing he could think about was the research that I was doing with him. And guess what? He got the prize. So, and when I walked in that morning, I had a prize. Big check. He said, look, and this is a mentor, right? He said, because I received this money, here is all of it to you. And it was $500,000. You understand? So, yeah, but this is many years ago. But this is many years ago. But this is the type of it's just right. Hopkins. So that was very important for me. And I learned a lot of things. And the second thing that I want to tell young people that I think, and all of us can benefit from this sort of thing, is this, is that after you develop that sort of niche, you know, one thing that I've really started learning to do is taking time, critical time, meditative time to think. And I asked my Uncle Malcolm to talk because my Uncle Malcolm at a young age showed me this. About the soul, about thinking, about being contemplative. And what that does, everybody's too busy. And as an academic, I can't be busy all the time. And the way I like to structure my off-surgery days is this way. And Marty's probably heard this. I don't know, but Marty's fellow academic. And this is what I like to do, Marty. I like to take a third of my time to read about what other people have written about a problem. So this is a problem now that, again, I'm taking from my patients. My patients, I'm operating on my patients, and there's a problem. I'm not doing the best I can do, like Dr. Tamal said. There's something that I can do better. Maybe a problem with a recurrence of cancer. How could I have prevented that? So I take it back to my lab, work on it in my lab, and then I want to take it back to the clinic so that the next person will have that benefit. So I got now that problem in my lab. And before I do anything, I think, okay, let me read first about what other people, where medicine is right now. And then I take a third of my day and I think. I just think. And I try to be innovative. And my wife bought me, she knows how I think, and she bought me a sort of a jack-in-the-box type of thing with a Rodin guy on top of it, and basically says, think outside the box. And I have that right on my desk. And I think, and I try to think, I know this is a well sort of used phrase, outside the box, but I try to think very creatively about that. And so it was great to see Salala, because she's taken her creative expression to another level. But I try to be creative in medicine, so I'm trying to, for a third of my day. And it doesn't have to be just sitting in a room with the lights off. I'm talking about talking to your colleagues, discussing, bouncing things off of them, going in the lab, say, hey, try this. Asking my technician, try this. Asking my postdoc, hey, you try this? Did you do this? Hey, what if we did this way? What do you think about that? Come on, you've been doing this for 10 years. What do you think about that? And this interactive thinking, and you come up with stuff that's new. It's amazing. And, you know, my dad called it curiosity, but, you know, I just think it's something that we should be doing in everything we do. And, you know, and then the other third of your day, you want to write and tell people what you're thinking. Move medicine forward. I want to move it forward. I don't want to just come to this world and not move medicine forward. I mean, service is great in terms of, but I want to serve not just one at a time, but have a bigger impact. And, you know, Bermuda has allowed me to do that, I think, because I get the support I need from so many people here, that generosity. And I can't tell you the number of Bermudians. Yeah, a medical student, went to see every single person. I did it a lot because I needed support myself. You know, here I was in medical school, and to hear the stories, to be with the patients and Bermudians was just unbelievable and so helpful. And how does this thinking thing talk about healthcare? Because basically what's going to happen is that our young people are really going to inherit a healthcare system that is not doing the best that it can as of right now. There are a lot of challenges. And again, you know, putting our thinking hats on, and there are lots of different ways to think. You know, one of the things is that we are completely stifled by Western thought. And let me explain. You know, I take a Hippocratic oath, as the doctors in this room have taken a Hippocratic oath. Hippocrates, his main thing was that you are reactive as a doctor. You wait for the symptoms to occur, and then you react to those symptoms. You treat people after they are already sick. That's not health care, that's sick care. We practice sick care. No. I've spent a lot of my time in Asia, a lot of my time in the Far East, and the philosophy should not be that. Western medicine, we do very, very, very well with acute illnesses. Trauma, you want to see a guy like me and Marty Macri. You get shot, come to see us. Yeah, this is the wrong place for that, right? I'm not in East Baltimore, Marty. I'm not in East Baltimore, excuse me. But if you get in any serious problem, car crash, and you can see I'm already thinking like an East Baltimorean, you want to come to a doctor. If you get in a serious acute problem, you want to see a Western doctor. But if you have a major chronic illness, Western medicine doesn't do as well. And again, it's because it's reactive, not proactive. And a lot of the reason is why Western medicine hasn't really understood what the mechanics have been and why things like eating well, obesity and so forth, etc., why those have been detrimental. And we're sort of catching up a little bit. The public and individuals are way ahead of us, way ahead. But the healthcare system is way behind. Just 2 days ago, the American Medical Association said that obesity was a disease. Well, come on. I mean, 30 years ago, we had Weight Watchers and people know about losing weight. So the healthcare system is behind. Why? Because part of the rewards of the healthcare system, again, is for reactive medicine. And part of our problem is that we have Western thought, so it's not our fault, right? You fall ill. I'm under the weather. I've caught a cold. It's all out of my control, doctor. It happened to me. No, no. It's in your control. A lot of disease, not all, but a lot of disease is unnecessary. Look at sexually transmitted diseases, look at HIV, look at a whole bunch of illnesses. I mean, we can go down the line. One that I battle with all the time is cigarette smoking. And look at the host of diseases that causes. So high risky behavior, diseases, there's a lot we can do to be proactive. And the healthcare system has to learn, like individuals have already learned, how to be proactive. So I'll stop by saying one last thing, and that is that, you know, I wanted to take a little time to tell you quickly about something of my research, just quickly, because it's exciting, and I always like something that's coming up that's new. And I have a couple new things, but one thing that I think is sort of cool is this, and I'll share it with you, and then I'll stop. And that is that I think that we can really figure out cancer sometime soon. I think we can make a big impact on cancer. And one of the things that we did was that, as you know, with chemotherapy, we questioned whether or not chemotherapy was right. And I said, you know, this can't be right, because it doesn't jive with the Eastern philosophy that I've learned all my life. That, you know, you take the maximum tolerated dose of a chemotherapeutic agent, right? That's what they call it, the MTD, and you give it to people, and people, what happens? Their hair falls out, they start what we call emesis, they got vomiting basically because their gut is all dying. That just can't be right. Why? Because we want to kill that cancer cell. Kill the cell, kill the cell. Something is not right. So, you know, being young and crazy, we said, well, let's try something different. So what we did was we took the cancer drug, and I said, let's lower the dose. And we did that, and we lowered the dose of this drug. And that wasn't all our idea. One other guy sort of had been deemed crazy and started to do that. And so we lowered the drug, and as we got down 10, 20, 30-fold, 100-fold down, what we realized was that the drug was acting in a completely different way than we would have predicted. And we said, let's not kill the cancer cell then. Let's try not to kill the cancer cell. And what we wanted the cancer cell to take up the drug and not die. And what we were trying to do was to try to change the cancer from the inside out, from a cancer cell to a more normal cell. Sort of interesting concept, right? Take cancer and change it back to something that looks more like normal. And our idea, and what we thought we were going to do was, because cancer is sort of like a car going out of control, no brakes, accelerator stuck. And we thought if we could make the brakes work a little bit, unstick the accelerator a little bit, then things could just slow down a little bit, right? And that's what we were sort of looking for. But what happened was unbelievable, just like regular science. What we didn't anticipate and what was exciting was that when the cancer started to change back to a more normal cell, you know what happened? All of a sudden, we realized that the cancer had essentially gone all over the body because it had evaded the immune system. That one of the first things the cancer did was it put a force shield around itself. So call it shields up, Star Wars analogy, call it Harry Potter's invisible cloak. It had put that around it. And when we started to change the cell back, all of a sudden, our own immune system started to recognize the cancer as being foreign. And when that started to happen, now you're really talking about God-given immune system, like with an infection, fighting it, and guess what? Now cancer will never come back. And it started to happen. If this was just science fiction or a theory in my head, that would be something. But I have now patients who've had metastatic lung cancer who should have been alive 1 month with tumor all over their liver, with the liver metastases gone, and it's been over 4 years and it never came back. Okay? Now, I see a couple doctors in the room who I've talked to this about, who have actually been up at Hopkins and been as part of this trial. So we're trying to get Bermudians also to be a part of this. And the next step we see, because it's not going to be just that, what we're realizing is that we probably have to help the immune system with a little tinge of an immunotherapy. So in other words, we give our own immune system a little help, and then it can then really go after these cancers. So we're opening up clinical trials, so that's the next exciting thing. I'm hoping that probably midsummer we'll have a situation where no chemotherapy, and in fact the government, they still say, well, Brock and those guys, look, you got to make sure they get chemotherapy first. It's like, okay, so they get one round of chemotherapy, not going to work with the patients that we are looking at, because it's already proven not to work in these particular patients. Not that chemotherapy doesn't work, chemotherapy works fine in certain patients, but give them one round of chemotherapy, then epigenetic therapy for a couple cycles, get that Harry Potter thing away, then immunotherapy, really cause our immune system to go after it, and then let's see what happens. So that's something that we're able to do, and we're doing it at Hopkins. And this is my commitment to Bermuda. This is why I feel that I'm where I am, and yet with my heart in Bermuda, because I want to do the best I can to try to push medicine forward and to push science forward, but at the same time serve my country. And right now, in this place, at this time, this is how I think I can make the difference. And I am so grateful to the Bermuda Health Foundation for recognizing that. I didn't think that that was something that people would see and recognize, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. My Hopkins family has been with me all along, and you can see they're all here at the table. Hopkins has been good for me. Bermuda has been great for me. And I tell you, to get the support that I get when I walk down the road to Bermuda has been unbelievable. And finally, the other thing that I've done since January is I've worked with a young lady who's here at the Hopkins table, Miss Wenda Royster. Wenda can just stand. Now, I was going to have Wenda say hello just in her voice, because those of you who have listened to the radio would immediately recognize Wenda as the voice of the Hopkins program that we do here in Bermuda. And again, my thought is Hopkins has all these guys that are unbelievable, like Dr. Jamal and others and Marty. Let's get them on a radio show and let's tell the world about it. So Bermuda's the first stop. We've been doing this for 3 years in Baltimore, and I said, Baltimore's okay, but these are urban issues. These are problems: obesity, hypertension, diabetes. These are problems that all communities have. Let's share it. And Wenda is helping us to share this with Bermuda. We're doing it, and I think we just got a survey back. We're the #1 health show in Bermuda, and we just came on the radio in January, and we're going to take this now next to several countries in the Caribbean, and then all throughout the world, where we're going to tell people in very practical terms what's going on with health, so that they can really take care of their health, and guess what? Be proactive rather than reactive. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.